I'm Dorothy Rowe, and the video you're about to watch is a clip from a live webinar. If you enjoy the content of this video, please like and subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you. Please, can our wondrous healing collective turn its attention to the bees? They seem to be affected by pesticides, 5G rapidly dwindling in numbers. Also, I think their environments, destroyed environments. Please, can we do a healing to strengthen their resilience and help their populations around the globe thrive? And this may seem like a silly question. No, it's not a silly question. It's a very good question, which you may not feel is webinar worthy, but it is webinar worthy. But I appreciate the thoughts. And so on this note, I would like to turn my attention to not only the bees, but it turns out the bees are in good company because the other insects are dying too at an alarming rate. And so I had some statistics that I wanted to share with you. 1/3 of all insects are endangered. And right now, the weight of all insect bodies on Earth is 17 times the weight of all humans on Earth. And 1/3 of them are endangered. So their mass is falling off at a rate of about 2.5% a year. This means that in 100 years, there literally won't be any more insects. If they keep diminishing at the rate that they are currently diminishing, we won't have any. In 50 years, they'll be down to half. In 100 years, they'll be down to none. So, I mean, you can imagine the impact, because insects are super important, right? They're pollinators and they're eaten by all sorts of animals. We'll lose all of the animals that feed off of them, like birds, like we like birds. Maybe so not everybody likes insects, but everybody likes birds. I mean, we should like them all. We need to like them all. They need to see their adorableness. Climate change, loss of habitat, pesticides causing it. And that's been mostly over, the mass has been falling at a rate of 2.5% over the last 25 to 30 years. So just in most of our lifetimes. Puerto Rico has lost 98% of their insects in just 35 years. That's just really scary. In England, the butterfly population fell 58% between 2000 and 2009. In the US, honeybees have dropped from 6 million to 3.5 million. And the die-off of insects seems to have started around 1900, according to my notes. Oof, and it says here that one study in Germany showed that there was a 75% loss of insects, not just in areas that are like highly cultivated, but even in nature preserves nearby areas that were where the, you know, all the plants and their habitats had been cut down. It says 80% of the biomass of insects disappeared in the last 25 to 30 years. Out of 5.5 million species, only 1/5 of them have even been identified and named. So those are some pretty staggering, kind of scary statistics, but I think it points to the importance of the work we're about to embark on now, which is what can we do as a great, beautiful, big, powerful healing collective to support the insects, bees, of course, but other animals as well. Also, the same man who sent the bee question also sent me a lovely video by a lady named Valerie Solheim, who started out doing deep research into what can be done to heal bees. And she found out some lovely details, like really useful information about bees. And one of them was that bees thrive when they build their hives over areas of Earth that have more electromagnetic oomph, like ley lines, like over ley lines and nodes in the Earth. So she's, you know, restoring bee hives in places on Earth, and sacred, kind of like you could say sacred places on Earth. She also found that the way they buzz, that they function as a collective, and I think the insects do too. A lot of insects do as well, that a bee who's out on its own for 24 hours is a dead bee. That bees have to be with the rest of their hive. They have to be with their collective. That in a sense, they're kind of a collective body. Kind of like the birds when they swirl around together, you know, there's a sense of that they're a wholeness. She had some other lovely points on her video about like ancient traditions and myths and legends about bees and how they've come to Earth to help us. And so she records the buzzing of the bees, and she sells CDs of bees buzzing at different times of year because they sound different at different times of year, and how the different types of sound production that they create. It's a beautiful actual visual too of how the vibration appears when you make it into like a diagram. Absolutely beautiful, orderly, gorgeous, looks like that sort of scintillating expansion of natural law. Anyway, it's a very beautiful gift to our Earth. The insects provide a very beautiful gift. So we're just going to spend a moment as our collective and dive into the collective consciousness of the insects of our Earth. I'm going to speak to the, you could call it like the king of the devas of each insect has its own little energies, but there's a collective form there. And the first thing that I'm noticing is that the collective form of the insects of the Earth is in a contracted state. It's like, it's kind of in its healing mode. It's not 100%, not 100% transcending, but it's definitely in its I see the delicacy in it. I can see the delicacy in it. And our group healing collective is just reaching out gently to the soul of all insects, to recognize it, the opposite of ignored, to recognize it with loving appreciation and recognizing its adorableness, recognizing that aspect or quality of nature's intelligence, of the source of creation, which is present in all things, all living things, from rocks to water to everything. That quality of adorableness is a sort of universal expression. And I know it's not in our culture, it's not traditional. We look at their bodies with their kind of long, lanky legs and things, and they don't seem that adorable, you know, cockroaches, ooh. But within them all, for example, about 2 weeks ago, I noticed a mosquito here in my area, in my work area. I don't know if I see it now. No, I don't see it now. But I noticed this mosquito. And I thought, oh, it's a mosquito, I'm going to kill it. But, you know, it was kind of out of my reach, and I was too tired. It was at night. I didn't want to kill it. And I noticed how it came and it flew near me, but then it just flew off, and it didn't try to bite me. It didn't try to land. It didn't try to bite. And I've noticed this mosquito just near me. It comes near me, but it never tries to sting me for like 2 weeks now. And last night at the end of the webinar, I just turned this off, and something out of the corner of my eye, and I went like that, and I was, oh, it's that mosquito. It's that mosquito. It had come right up so close to me, and it just was like a little dark something, and I kind of swooshed with my hand, and I bumped it, you know, and it flew off like that. And I thought, I've had a feeling that since these 2 weeks that this mosquito is just hanging with us. It's just hanging with me. It's not here to sting me. It's just here to be. It's just here to be. And you know, I mean, mosquitoes are one of those things that for years, you see a mosquito, you just kill it. It's just like, you know, clockwork. You see it, you kill it. But it's been my pet It's been my pet for a while. And you know, it's true that their bodies aren't so like they're not soft like mammal bodies or whatever, but they have their adorableness. They have their willingness to adapt. They are very adaptable, to adapt to this world in a way that supports a higher expression of or a higher level of experience for all of us. We don't know what kinds of stinging things there were back in the times of the dinosaurs, you know, but all the life forms on Earth seem to have been becoming sort of smaller and gentler and sweeter. I feel our hearts stretching into places where the habitat still exists and reaching into those places and pouring our loving recognition into those spots. And those habitat places also have more biodiversity. So more different types of plants, minerals, mineral-rich soils. And what's happening is we're creating a light medicine, our collective, that nurtures and nourishes the deeper levels of the environment around the insects. So it's like creating a soft bed, like creating a sort of cushion, a cushion of softness through the web of life, right? The intention flows through the threads of consciousness to those areas where the microbiome or the biome exists for the insects. And the softness, you know, anywhere our attention flows, so the soma flows. So the devatas are carried through to those areas to promote the changes that the insects need to make in order to adapt, because they have to adapt to pesticides. Oh, there was in one of the articles, there was something about how bees on the East Coast of America had had adapted to certain pesticides, and their numbers were actually increasing in that part of America. Isn't that interesting? So the insects, their little lives are kind of short compared to ours, and adapting is one of the things they can do to be able to make a comeback. And adapting in a way, as we're pouring this adoration and recognition of them as absolutely beautiful and sweet and adorable, the net result is that they're changed, just like the lady who'd written the question, like if you dive into the gap with a certain awareness, certain sense in your awareness, then that creates the memory pattern that produces a different outcome. So that's what we're doing in today's session. That's what we have been doing for the last few minutes.